Welcome to House Edge. Before we start the episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. And check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and Discord at House Edge Bet. Links down below. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to House Edge, starting off our first episode of the college football season. We're going to have some regular plays for you guys, some single plays, a parlay from each of us, and then some future plays in the following episode. We'll start off with our single plays. We have a couple common plays. Our first one, you guys know me and Rob are both Penn State graduates. You guys know Penn State's pretty good at football, and you guys know that Penn State beats up on bad teams. Penn State -8.5 against West Virginia. It's West Virginia, man. I mean, I remember the last time we played these guys in a season opener, we were favored by about, I think it was double digits, and we beat them in the 20s. We definitely cleared. Yeah, we cleared that easily. I think we'll do it again.
Yeah, this team is bringing back a majority of both their offense and defense. We're going to be one of the best teams in the country this year. West Virginia shouldn't be any problem at 9 points.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why the line is this low. We've usually had double-digit lines against teams of the West Virginia caliber.
Yeah, but we'll just take their money.
Yep. Free first week.
Free first week. And our second common play of the week, we have Ohio State -48.5 versus Akron. This is another big house team versus one of those mid-majors. I love Ohio State this year. They got Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. They have one of the best running back cores in the country with Junkins and Trayvon Henderson, and this team's going to be electric.
Yeah, I think what they were lacking in the last couple of years, the reason they didn't win the national championship is because they were missing a guy like Chip Kelly on offense. Ryan Day, great defensive coach. I mean, Ohio State was able to handle some of the tougher teams. They didn't run up the score on them. It's just their offense was unable to keep up most of the time. And now with the addition of Chip Kelly, they're going to be an incredible squad this year. They've also just invested so much money into the program this year. It's basically championship or bust. I think it's going to be championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to my picks, I have Missouri -47.5 versus Murray State. First week of the season, we're looking at teams that are returning a lot of their talent. Missouri returning 9 offensive starters. This offense was one of the best in the country last year. And Murray State was one of the lowest scoring teams in their conference last year. I love this play.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, who in the world is Murray State? Missouri's an SEC team. They should be running up the score on these guys. 47.5 points. I don't really care what the number is. Like, it's week 1 of college football. You see a lot of very lopsided scores in college football week 1.
Yeah, if you're not betting a -40 or +40, you're probably betting on some junk teams.
Right. Unless you have some good matchups, which we do have a couple good matchups.
There's a couple.
And
one of them is Florida versus Miami U. I'm going to take Florida +2.5. This is an even money play. I'm going to take the home field team here in a rivalry game, and they're also returning 8 starters, which you got to love.
Yeah, early season favoring Miami before they have shown anything. I've seen this story so many times where Miami starts the season ranked, loses their first 2 out of conference games or something along those lines, and eventually ends up unranked and has a very mediocre season where they turned around at the very end and get ranked in the 20s. I'm expecting the same thing this year. Honestly, I don't see anything that really drastically changed at that program.
Exactly. I also have the under 49.5 UNC and Minnesota. This is no Drake May for UNC. There's going to be a lot of question marks on that offense. And Minnesota's defense is going to be really good this year. But Minnesota also has some struggles on offense. Their starting running back is likely to be out for the first game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, I actually have a play on this game as well. It has nothing to do with the under over. I'm taking UNC minus 1.5. You mentioned no Drake May, so we don't know how that offense is going to be. We know Minnesota's defense is going to be good, but I also know one other thing. My dad's Minnesota alma mater. I've watched a lot of Minnesota football growing up, and they're one of the worst teams to watch in terms of college football. They're kind of like Iowa, where their offense is terrible and their defense is really good. And maybe they'll squeak out a win. I don't think they will. They've had a very bad, historically, just from what I can remember watching Minnesota, out of conference, they're a terrible team. They do not play well out of conference. And this is a high quality game for them. UNC, somewhere where they can show up, get an out of conference win. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. It's Minnesota football.
Okay. I had this game on the spread as a kind of a coin flip. I'm leaning Minnesota just on the defense, but I don't see anything against that thinking.
Mm-hmm. Maybe UNC gets another Drake May that we haven't seen yet. We know Minnesota isn't going to produce a quarterback like that. We've seen who was the one before Drake May that got Mitch Trubisky, right? He was a UNC grad.
Yeah.
When's the last time we've seen a
quarterback?
When was the last time we've seen a Minnesota quarterback in the NFL? I couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you.
My next pick, UGA, Georgia, 13.5 point favorites over Clemson. Dabo Swinney is not ready for an SEC powerhouse like Georgia, especially with the strengthening of the SEC. I feel like programs like Georgia are getting even stronger with players wanting to go against even more competition. The ACC is going to get quickly outpaced. I see the ACC dissolving somewhat like the Pac-12, and also the Big 12 also dissolving like the Pac-12, and then we end up with basically three very large conferences: the SEC, the Big 10, and what's the third one I'm forgetting right now?
Well, I don't know. You dissolved all the conferences. I can't.
I think we need to keep the Big 12. Yeah, we had Utah join the Big 12. We keep the Big 12. The ACC goes into that. It's Big 10, Big 12, SEC. ACC dissolves.
I don't know. We're a long ways from another reshuffle. I'm just getting used to the 12-team playoff.
Yeah. Clemson's not going to make that playoff. I'm going out on a limb and saying that. Even though they'll win their conference, they will not be the top 5 ranked one because the ACC will be that poor this year.
That's a possibility.
It really is.
Especially with how Florida State looked last week.
Yeah. DJ, okay, let me say something about DJ. What's his last name? Ugalele? Whatever it is. Bro, you've been in college for how long? You were drafted. You were brought into college the same year as CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud just was the rookie of the year, correct?
Yep.
He was the rookie of the year, while you just lost to Georgia Tech in your opening game at your third university. Move on, brother.
Everybody's looking for a Bo Nix career now.
It's get a job, brother. Get over to that used car dealership over at Tallahassee, all right? It's looking rough for DJ Ugalele. I mean, I don't know how you can walk around campus after a showing like that. That's tough, man. Really tough. I did have Georgia Tech in that game.
It was rough.
Yeah, I did have Georgia Tech in that game. I texted you before the game and told you that Florida State is really upset that they didn't make the playoff last year. They're going to come out flat, and they came out flatter than I expected. I took plus 10.5. I should have taken them straight up.
Yeah.
And then my last play, Alabama 31.5 points against Western Kentucky. Who's Western Kentucky? Do we know a single person that goes to West? Have you ever heard of a single person that went to Western Kentucky?
Their best player was a receiver last year, Conley. He's on the Jets now. There we go.
Okay.
I got one in.
You got one.
But he's
That's
not
better
there.
than I could do. 31 and a half points. That's like the only 30 something line that I saw for a very highly ranked team. It's Alabama, man. I mean, Nick Saban's gone, sure, but there are a lot of boys in Alabama that can play football and they want to go to the University of Alabama since the day that they were born, basically. And they're going to do that.
And they're bringing in the coach from Washington. I mean, his name is blanking me right now, but he's only been successful everywhere he's at. So I don't expect too much drop off from Alabama. I mean, it won't be Nick Saban. No one's going to be Nick Saban, but Alabama should still be a powerhouse program going forward.
They're going to be a force in the SEC. I don't think they're going to win the SEC. Don't get me wrong, but they'll be a force. Top 5 for sure.
In the SEC, well, I hope.
Yeah, they better be. I think Texas and Georgia are 1-2 this year.
Yeah, I like Texas and the SEC.
Moving on to our parlays. I just have a 2-leg parlay. I really struggled to come up with a parlay this week. I'm taking offensive powerhouse Oregon 44.5 point favorites against a team that I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know who they're playing against. I'm going to be honest with you. I just saw Oregon 44 something points first week. I'll take them.
I guess I'll take that.
Yep. And then I saw Northwestern playing against a MAC team, Miami, Ohio. And I said, there's no way Northwestern is going to make the Big Ten look that bad and lose to a MAC team on the opening week, right?
I think betting Northwestern against a non-conference opponent is your favorite bet.
It might be, yeah.
Bengals win a Super Bowl.
It might be. I remember doing that a few times last year.
Oh, man.
But that puts me at plus 216. A very small wager. Don't tail me on this one. I have no research into this pick. It's a complete gamble.
Well, moving over to my parlay, I have 3 legs. First, we're going to start off beating up on the Dakotas. We got Colorado money line versus North Dakota State, and Oklahoma State money line versus South Dakota State. Finishing it out with LSU money line versus USC, plus 139.
I like that LSU play. I mean, SEC team over a former Pac-12 team that lost Caleb Williams and is definitely going to be a shell of what they were before. And I don't think they made enough changes on defense to make up for how atrocious they were last year.
I mean, the USC is not returning many players. I mean, that's the only silver lining to their season because they were so bad last year. But one of those players that they aren't returning, like you said, is Caleb Williams. So I don't know what Lincoln Riley is really going to do. He's got to try to find his next quarterback. And I like Brian Kelly opening night in a neutral site for LSU.
I might play that play straight up because I think it was pretty close to even money as well.
It's minus 188 for straight up money line.
Then I'll take the 4.5. All right.
That is our picks for week 1 of the college football season.